So a little bit of a backstory about what I'm going to be doing. I had ripped my pants from my suit on the second day wearing them. I was on a photo shoot. I don't know what they got caught on, but there was a hole in them. However, I was like, let's turn this into a positive and show you guys how I fix it. Is so you can either fix your own pants or have someone you know fix them and point out, like, show them what to do. So the first attempt I did was just putting a patch from the leftover hem material, but I didn't really like how it looked. But I will give you a disclaimer. Having someone do that is going to be a lot cheaper than what I'm about to show you how to do, because the time put into it would have cost me near like $400 for that patch. So it's not ideal unless you're gonna put in the time yourself and really test this out, but I figured it was a fun way of doing it. Also, this is not the prescribed reweaving method. This is just kind of something I thought of. It would work, and I actually think it doesn't look too bad. So without further ado, please enjoy the video. So for today's repair, what we want to do is, in theory, match up that pattern with this extra piece of fabric. And with the way the fabric is in the pattern itself, hopefully the seams and stitches will get hidden in there, but we'll have to give it a try and see how it goes. So let's get into the actual rip. We don't want to cut off any of these frays, just kind of tuck them away, because the more you cut off, the harder it is to repair. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fuse it shut so it doesn't keep ripping. So I had taken a piece of the fusing, cut it to size so it's bigger than the hole itself. Now this fusing you can buy just about anywhere. Sewing supplies are sold, Walmart, one of them. But what we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. We're going to cut like a half moon out of it. And I'll show you why in a second. Now you can leave it square, but ideally having it in a circle will help it from fraying off of the garment itself. So cutting it off so there's no defined edges is ideal. So we have the inside of the pants here with the rip as lined up as we can with the old seam, not distorting the pattern at all. What we're going to do is we're going to take our fusing. You're going to find the rough side. There's a rough and a smooth side. Rough side goes down onto the fabric because that will be the part that gets glued. Grab the iron, apply some steam. Make sure that's on there nice and tight, not going anywhere. Test the edges. Flip it over, and now we have it nice and glued down. So the next step that I did was I cut off a piece of the extra hem, which, by the way, guys, in case you didn't know, a lot of the times when you're needing a patch, you can take it from the hem of the pants. I didn't have any extra here, but luckily I'm a weirdo and I saved the extra scraps of my suits, so I had plenty. So what I did was I took the piece that I thought would match up the best. I'm just going to line it up with the pattern, and then we're going to try and stitch that in there without it being noticeable. I think once it's done, it'll be really good. But so what I did was I just cut it, turned in the edges. I'll hide this seam and then top stitch the rest, and we'll see how it turns out. So here's the patch on before it's been pressed, and honestly from a distance it's not too bad. You see a little bit of the black outline from the stitching. Maybe I can use like a gray or something and go over it. But the one thing I did notice is there's a bit of a stain here. So if I would have done it a little bit different, I would have probably brought this down underneath this line and tried to get rid of that stain, because the really white and then dark kind of looks bad there. But we're gonna press it. So in a crazy turn of events, I did not like how the patch looked at all. So what I'm gonna try and do is just try and blend this in with some stitching and maybe just a little bit of fabric, because I think that's a lot less noticeable than what was there. And right now it's just the fusing in there. If I can get in there to show you. Boom. So for this project that I'm going to be doing for the repair of the hole in the trousers, all I'm going to be using are 3 main tools, 2 needles, 1 slimmer needle to get underneath multiple layers of the pants, a larger needle when you want to collect larger amounts of string or thread in the eye of the needle for bolder weaves. And then a pair of tweezers, because using your hands gets really annoying really quick. I use some pins here and there just to hold it in place and make sure nothing comes undone after you've already weaved it through. And then obviously extra fabric to be able to piece and fray like I've done here and to start weaving back in. So let's get into it. So where I'm at in this part of the weave, I've already done about an hour and a half worth of work, which doesn't look like that much, but I feel very well accomplished. We are in the thicker, heavier part of the weave, so we're going to be using the bigger needle because we're going to be selecting more strands at a time. So what we're going to be doing for this is taking the needle, going right in at the base of the patch. So the patch is right there. We're going to take this needle and go right in underneath the yellow stitching. Now, the next patch of threads we're going to be using are the black ones, as you can see there. Let me see if I can pull these apart for you guys. It'll make it a little bit easier. It's going to be these black ones here. So what you're going to want to do is keep an eye on these black patterns. So go under the yellow. You're going to go over top of the black. And then go under the white ones. Let's try and get that back into focus. Over the black. Under the white. Back over the black and then under the white. Until you're about lined up where the ends will be at their extent. Push it all the way through till there. Right where the eye is close to the threads. Now, if I were to redo this, I would have made all of these strands a lot longer. Makes it a lot easier to thread them, but I've already put in this much time, so I'm not gonna redo it now. So the next phase is to collect all of the black threads, which can be pretty difficult if they're not wanting to be compliant. Come on, little guys, come on. All right, so there they are, and all you're gonna wanna do is thread them into that needle. This is where, if you have trouble seeing, make sure you have a magnifying glass or a light. Luckily, this needle is so big that the magnifying glass is unnecessary at this point. But maybe for the smaller weaves, I'll have to get one. Oh, these guys are wanting to be a real big pain today. Okay, there's one. And once you get them through, you want to make sure that you have them tight so they don't come back undone. That's also very annoying. Here we go. Okay, make sure they're nice and tight in the needle so you don't lose them. And then just take the needle and pull it through. And you will notice the threads pull right through and blend right into the pattern. And you just move on to the next set. The moment I've been waiting for to show you guys what it looks like finally done.
Now, I will say it did not turn out as well as I thought it was going to. There's some areas I probably would have taken better care of, like such as right here. I would have probably blended this in a little bit better. But for like all up here and down here, I'm pretty happy with. But I wanted to show you what I did to complete all of this. So as you noticed while I was going through, I started the phrase came up on the edges and all that. So what I did was I, first off on the inside, added more of the fusing. I added more of the fusing to cover up the threads that were coming through in here to hold them down. And I'll explain all those threads in a second. Then I took some snips, and what I did was I snipped off all the extras all the way around. And then what you do is you take a razor, and there was little bits, so you can kind of see them still a little bit here, which I should probably clean up. Right around there, you take the razor and you go with the fabric, and it would rip up all of the extra phrase, making it look flat in the way that it is. And then afterwards, see if I can get in there, I took stitching, sewed through it, kind of like a quilt, to make sure that nothing moved out of place. And for where it's at on the pants, the jacket probably comes to about here. This kind of curves in. It's kind of hidden with the back of the jacket. And I'm not actually that upset with how it looks. Tell me what you think. I think it looks a lot better than the old one that I had on there. Plus, it was fun trying to practice some reweaving work. So, there you have it. All done.